Imagine a galaxy where a diverse group of warriors from different species unite under a common creed and code. These legendary mercenaries, known as Mandalorians, weren't just your average bounty hunters. They were a force to be reckoned with. Way back around 9,991 BBY on the planet Mandalore, situated in the Outer Rim territories. The Mandalorians were all about honor and war, led by a top dog known as the Mandalore. This leader, along with their protectors, managed to keep some peace and unity among the various warrior clans. What's fascinating is how these warriors didn't just stick to their homeworld. No, they were expansion enthusiasts. During the Old Republic era, they waged wars, colonized nearby planets like Cronist, Ordo, and Concord Dawn, basically turning the space around Mandalore into what folks dubbed Mandalorian space. These warriors weren't just any bunch. They had groups like the Crusaders, Rally Masters, and Neo-Crusaders, all diving headfirst into conflicts with the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Order. The star of many battles, none other than the legendary Mandalore the Great. Surprisingly, not every Mandalorian and Jedi were mortal enemies. Take Vizsla, a Mandalorian who kicked it with the Jedi after joining as a kiddo. Oh, and get this, he whipped up a lightsaber called the Darksaber around 1050 BBY. Fast forward, Tar not only started House Vizsla, but snagged the top dog spot known as Mandalore. That Darksaber, it became the symbol of leadership for House Vizsla and the entire Mandalorian crew. Now that's a wild ride through the galaxy. Now here's where things take a dark turn. After Vizsla met his fate, his house went rogue, swooping into the Jedi Temple during the Old Republic's downfall. They swiped the Darksaber and, you won't believe this, used it to rally the Mandalorian troops, sparking another war with the Jedi Order. The clash hit Mandalore hard, turning much of it into a ghostly white desert. Post-defeat, the Mandalorians decided to play the quiet card, isolating themselves in their sector well into the High Republic era. No more wars with the Jedi or the Republic, just some peaceful coexistence through treaties. But you know how it goes. The warrior spirit doesn't just fade away. Infighting and civil wars became the new norm among the Mandalorians, keeping the galaxy on its toes. Talk about a roller coaster of alliances and battles. Mandalorians were the galaxy's fear-inducing badasses. These proud warriors lived and breathed combat. It wasn't just a pastime. It was their whole culture, identity, and spirit rolled into one. Imagine having a dispute and settling it not with words, but with one-on-one combat, where the loser met their end. That's how hardcore these guys were. But here's the twist. The love for solo battles wasn't just about justice. No. They throw down for the sheer thrill of facing a worthy opponent, even if it meant going toe-to-toe with a Jedi Knight. And get this, they'd use the same method to figure out who's the boss. Leadership disputes, Mandalorian style. Now, the Mandalorian clan setup was like a pyramid scheme. At the tippy top sat the Mandalore, the ruler, with the Mandalorian protectors making sure everyone played by the rules. And here's the cool part. Being a Mandalorian wasn't just about your species, it was about living by the Mandalorian Creed. So whether you're human or not, if you embraced the Creed, you could join the ranks of these formidable warriors. Talk about an open door policy with the coolest warrior club in the galaxy. Alright, now let's get into the beating heart of the Mandalorian vibes. The Mandalorian Creed is not just a set of rules, it's their guiding light, passed down like the coolest family heirloom from one generation of warriors to the next. Now imagine this. At the core of the Creed is this killer concept called 𝐉𝐻𝐻, or Brothers All. It's not just about flexing muscles, it's a nod to community and having each other's backs. Mandalorians aren't just warriors, they're a tight-knit crew loyal to the bone. Let's not forget the other biggie in the Creed, the trio of strength, loyalty, and honor. It's like their Jedi code but with a Mandalorian swagger. They don't just talk the talk, they walk it, emphasizing combat and sharpening those martial skills. It's not just about being tough, it's about being Mandalorian tough, and that's a whole different level of cool. It was known for a fact that these warriors weren't the ones that go easy on their enemy. But what's the reason behind their power and strength? Imagine this legendary armor that struck fear across the galaxy. Mandalorian armor was no joke. Remember the honeycomb patterns and that ominous T-shaped visors? You'd spot a Mandalorian from a mile away. And what made it even crazier, the armor was crafted from Beskar, a metal that practically laughed in the face of damage. They forged this stuff into armor and gear, all thanks to Mandalorian armorers, the real unsung heroes. Now, Beskar wasn't just lying around. It was found only on Mandalorian worlds, so mining and tempering it became this ancient tradition, a vital part of being a Mandalorian. So these guys even whipped up cool gadgets like whistling birds from this metal marvel. Let's not forget the weapons. Crush gaunts, Beskads were born from Beskar, packing a serious punch. But it's not just about the bling. Mandalorians had a toolkit designed to give a Jedi a run for their money. Jetpacks, magnetized boots, and van braces loaded with anti-Jedi weaponry. Ever seen wrist-mounted sonic repulsor knocking things away? is like a force push, Mandalorian style. And the gear, 𝐻 35 blasters and the 𝐒6 jetpacks were the go-tos. They even had a training routine called the Rising Phoenix to boost those jetpack skills. Oh, and don't forget their starfighter, the 𝐒𝐭𝐚𝐫𝐬 class fighter transport, the cherry on top of the Mandalorian arsenal. Now that's how you bring style and function to the intergalactic warrior game. Now hold on to your helmets because Mandalorians took their armor game super seriously. They treated Beskar like it was their secret sauce, keeping it exclusive to their warrior crew. Din Djarin, the Mandalorian himself, wouldn't even hand over Boba Fett's armor until he confirmed the guy had some Mandalorian blood in him. But here's the twist. Despite this exclusive club vibe, non-Mandalorians like Crime Lord Dryden Voss and big game hunter Garnek got their hands on Mandalorian armor. Talk about breaking into the cool kids clubhouse. But guess what? Boba Fett's rockstar status inspired a whole bunch of wannabe hunters to try and snag knockoff Mandalorian gear. It became the go-to fashion for the bounty hunter scene. Even 𝐻𝐻𝐿, who didn't have the full Mandalorian armor set, rocked a vambrace loaded with whistling birds. Mandalorian vibes were spreading across the galaxy faster than a hyper jump. Now let's talk about their combat. Mandalorian warriors didn't just wake up being battle pros. They earned their stripes in wars, dating way back. But here's the cool part, it wasn't until they clashed with the Jedi that they really dialed in their signature combat style. Mandalorians like to throw a mix of melee, ranged, and hand-to-hand techniques, all while surprising Jedi Knights with some tech-savvy vambrace moves. It was like a warrior dance, and the Jedi were in for a surprise. And don't even get me started on the 𝐿DABE kisses. Mandalorians were known for these headbutts that packed a serious punch. The term even shared its name with Mandalore's old capital, 𝐿DABE. Imagine using a city's name for a move. Now that's some serious Mandalorian flair. Now let's talk about the Darksaber. Back in the Old Republic, House Vizsla Mandalorians were wielding this thing like it was the galaxy's ultimate fear factor. They went on a Jedi slaying spree that made this saber a symbol of their warrior mojo. Jedi thought they could stash it in their temple, but oh no, Mandalorians weren't gonna have that. They straight up raided the Jedi temple to snatch back their iconic weapon. Now fast forward to the Clone Wars, and the Darksaber wasn't just a weapon. It became the badge of leadership for Death Watch and House Vizsla. It was like holding the keys to the Mandalorian kingdom. Now, let's switch gears to the Mandalorian art. Cubism was their jam during the Clone Wars, showing the brutal reality of war on canvas. What happened after the war? They flipped it, turning those war-themed paintings into promotional pieces. It's like saying, yeah, war was awful, but look how cool we were while we did it. Now, let's move on to style. Mandalorians were all about those angles and hexagons. Picture diamond and honeycomb shapes, not just in their art, but everywhere. Architecture, vehicles, clothing, even haircuts. The Darksaber itself rocked this angular style, from the pommel to the handguard and the blade emitter. Now, Sabine Wren, she's not just a Spectre, but a graffiti artist extraordinaire. Her armor, a canvas she personalized with mad skills. And then there's Tar Vizsla's statue in Mandalore, standing tall as a symbol of hope and Mandalorian history. One time the Empire dared to build an outpost on it. The Mandalorians weren't having that either. They tore it down to keep their iconic statue intact. And Beskar armor, not complete without some personal flair. Mandalorians decked it out with clan symbols and the mythosaur skull emblem, just to remind everyone they're walking works of art. It's not just armor, it's a Mandalorian masterpiece. Now let's dive into how the Mandalorians have left their mark on the whole Star Wars scene. It's a galaxy-sized impact that's hard to ignore. These guys are like the rock stars of the universe, known for their killer armor and a warrior tradition that got fans and artists everywhere doing fist pumps. In the stories, Mandalorians aren't just extras. They've been major players in the whole galactic drama. Sometimes they're Jedi's ride or die buddies, other times they're giving the Republic a run for its money. Either way, their moves have consequences that echo through the stars. Now fast forward to today, and Mandalorians are still the cool cats of the Star Wars universe. They're not just popping up in movies. They're stealing the show in hit series like The Mandalorian. It's like they've got this everlasting swag that keeps fans hooked. The Mandalorians aren't just characters. They're a whole culture that's become a legend in the Star Wars universe. The impact is like a lightsaber, unforgettable and etched into the very fabric of that galaxy far, far away. That's all for today's video. What's your opinion on the Mandalorians? Let us know down in the comments below. If you like this video, then please like and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you.